I want this message today to be about, not letting the fear stop you. Welcome to the podcast, Keeping It Real, the Purpose-Driven Life with Laura and Lynn.
Tune in for candid conversations, practical tips, inspiring stories, and actionable advice on navigating life and business.
Today's topic is about what you need to know before you start your business.
Exactly, Laura. Heavy topic today. Hoping what you get out of this topic today, a little insight into you. Most important about this topic today is before you start your business, the most important thing you need to know is you. Yes, there is nothing more important. You can know everything about every other part about your business, but if you don't know you, what you're going to end up doing is trying to catch parts in your business that are lacking because you haven't been honest with you. So let me give you an example. If your skill set of selling is weak and you don't acknowledge that, okay, my skill set of selling is weak, then what ends up happening is things aren't happening in your business. And you're going, why aren't things happening in my business? But if you take a detailed, honest look at who you are and do a write out of these are my strengths, these are my weaknesses. Now, I know this is important. Well, I know that you think that you know you, but when you start a business, you really need to be honest. Nobody else is in the room, just you. Here's a personal example. And my partner will let you know that this is because Laura is the technical person, but I'm really not the technical person when it comes to computer. I'm learning computer. I'm open to learning computer, but my passion is other things, right? So I need to be honest with, okay, this is a part of my repertoire that's lacking a little bit, right? That I need to be honest about where it is. Sales. I do sales, but I'm always open to learning more about sales because sales is not my specialty. And let me tell you, sales is huge in a business because it doesn't matter if you're talking about doing a daycare. At the end of the day, the reason they come to your daycare is about what you are able to present to them and why they want to come to your daycare. So that is a huge issue. So just finding out areas about your life that are a little bit lacking. And it's not. And when you're doing this, here's the other number one thing is you have to be your best friend when it comes to being in your business. Because if, in fact, we're not talking about how to beat yourself up, right? That's not what this is about. As a matter of fact, our show is absolutely the opposite. We are trying to help you be the best person you could be for yourself.
I was like, we're trying to help you be the best you.
Best you. Because at the end of the day, nobody has your back as well as you do. Nobody's got your back as well as you do. What do you think about that, Laura?
Oh, I totally agree. And I feel like you bring your own unique experiences, your own background. No one else is going to do it just like you would. And so sometimes we sell ourselves short because we think, oh, we don't have that strength. We don't have that talent. Oh, I don't know how to do something. But in reality, focus on what you do know how to do, focus on your strengths and get support for the other things. As you mentioned, the tech, for example, there's so many people out there that can help you with tech. So if tech is not your forte, you can find other individuals. There's so many networking groups out there now, communities that, you can join a community group and find other business owners or entrepreneurs that really, really can support you in those areas.
Yes, which is one of the reasons why we do a group. And the reason we do a group is because then you have people around you that are doing exactly what you're doing that'll give you honest feedback on what it is that they see. Because here's the thing, if you go to your spouse and say, what do you think? They're not going to say, well, you really don't, because they don't want to bring you down, right? I mean, they want to be honest and they want to help you at the same time. But honestly, sometimes you need some outside feedback, and getting that outside feedback. We want that outside feedback because the exact person that you're trying to take an honest look at is the exact person who has to look at what shortcomings you have, right? So how does this work? Yes, I need to look at my weaknesses. At the same time, I don't really want to look at my weaknesses. I mean, you want to look at them. Yes, no, yes, no. So you know, the good, the bad, the good, the bad. Yes, that's part of why, and that's human nature. That, I mean, I want you to know that that's human nature. That we all have that. There is a part of us that wants to help us grow. There is a part of us that doesn't want to help us grow. I'm going to say that again. There is a part of us that wants us to grow. And there is an absolute part of us that doesn't want to help us grow. And here's why, is because we are comfortable where we are. And getting out of where we are is very scary at times. So if I want you to think about this, because this is the absolute sleeper in every business. The sleeper is who is helping me and what part of me is not helping me. And if you don't acknowledge that part, because it's absolutely there, it's in every single human being, is that there is a part of them that wants to help them be successful. There's also a part of them that wants to help them actually not be successful. Right?
Well, it's because of fear. I mean, it really comes down to fear. You know, as your ego becomes fearful, it's going to keep you safe because it doesn't want you to feel hurt. It doesn't want you to feel like, oh, I didn't do that right. Instead of embracing it of, hey, you know, I don't have to be perfect. I just have to go out there and try. Sales is like that. You just have to be willing to go out there and try and talk to people. And in being authentically you, and being able to say to someone, you know, this is my product, this is my service, and this is what I know to be true, I think really does make a difference. So coming from a place of your inner knowing will help a lot. And yeah, being aware of your shortcomings, but also not letting those stop you. If we had waited to be, you know, have everything, all our strengths shining and being perfect in this podcast, we would have never started. I mean, we have so much room for growth, and the only way we're going to get there is to keep trying.
Well, not only that, it's exciting to have that to look forward to. I mean, it's nerving. I mean, that's what growth is. It's a little nerving, right? Yeah. But it's also very exciting because you go, oh, hey, all right, but we've started. So then we've got something to do. You've got, right? But just being honest with, hey, this is, you're just taking you just want to know about you. You just want to know, hey, and if you were an employee in your business, you would want to, hey, you would want to know what's your strengths, what's your weaknesses. That's the first thing you're going to ask somebody that comes to work in your business. What's your strengths, what's your weaknesses? And if you're like, I don't really know. Okay, well, that's not going to help me because I want you to fit into mine. So you're just doing the exact same thing. You just want to know what exactly it is that you can help your business. You're just doing the exact same thing you're going to do with everybody else that comes to your business. What's your strength? What's your weaknesses? And from there, you get started.
I think we, you know, as we're talking about this, I'm thinking how often, though, we do focus on our weaknesses a lot. And rather than trying to figure out how to get like over those hurdles, we let that stop us. If anything, I want this message today to be about, you know, not letting the fear stop you. There's books, there's podcasts, there's so many resources available to support you in strengthening your areas that need growth. You know, and I know that's something we spend a lot of time talking about is, you know, where do we need to get better? What do we need to practice? And I do think that, I mean, this is where I really want to, you know, just mention the whole idea behind our community is because we want to be that support system. We don't want people to feel like they have to do it alone. Sometimes if you feel like you're the only one who's in it, that you're having to do it alone, then you burn out. You just, yeah. And I don't want anyone to feel that way. So even if it's just reaching out with a question and saying, hey, I'm really curious about this, because I think sometimes that stops us too, because we don't want to appear stupid. We don't want to appear like we don't know what we're doing. Like we have to go into this having it all figured out, instead of seeing this as just one great grand adventure. We don't approach games in that way. When someone says, hey, you want to play a game and you've never played it before, the idea is to have fun with it. So I would encourage that even in this looking at our strengths and what we need to know before we start a business is to look at it as, what's going to bring the most joy? How are we going to have the most fun? And really start there. So how can you make this almost like a game where if you need to improve on your sales techniques, that you look at it as a game and you say, okay, this is how, this is how I can practice, and this is the resource I can look at. And that's what we're kind of here to help with.
And then the other thing is stop thinking. Stop thinking, because you can talk yourself right out of starting.
Yeah.
So you stop thinking, just start, lay out some steps you want to follow and follow the steps, right? That's the idea, is you just want to one step after the other, just one step after the other. Just don't make it complicated. We want to make it complicated so we can, well, once I figure this out, figure this out, figure this out, figure this out, figure this out. And, but yeah, most importantly is just start.
I was going to say, one of the stories that I'm thinking of is so I was in a career transition. And I was really excited about being an executive recruiter. And so I applied. It was my first opportunity to work downtown. I like cities. So I was, I was going downtown, I was wearing a suit every day. And I was literally going into this high-rise building to make cold calls all day. Ooh. And I qualified for the job through a test. They had you take a personality test. And so I passed the test. So I showed I had strengths in being an executive recruiter. I did not have any strengths. I did not know how to sit behind a desk. And you're thinking, this was before cell phones. So I'm, dating myself here, but, sitting all day, making cold calls. It was not my skill set at all. It was not my strength. So at that point I decided, no, that's not the job for me. And that's okay too. So I want to say, before you start your business, make sure you're going into a business that you're really going to enjoy. Because we've talked before about how much work it is, and it can be fun. It can be fun work. I don't look at work as I'm always, in my entire career, it's always been about how can I love what I'm doing. Right. And if you're not going to love what you're doing, that's where you definitely want support, and find someone who loves doing that. Like if you hate making cold calls, find somebody that likes making cold calls. If that's part of your business, if that's something you have to do. And we've had this conversation, where we approach things a little bit differently. So where can I complement you and my strengths, and vice versa? Because I also think that's really important, because you want to work with, it's kind of like, if you think about a whole circle, you want to have the personalities and the work style and your skill sets are only in one half of that circle. Who's going to make up that other half? Right. Yes. And so that's what I'm also thinking about is, really finding that counterpart so that you can have a whole circle. Right. And I think
people to help fill your circle. It doesn't have to be,
doesn't have to be one other person. No.
Yeah. Or even just all you. You don't have to do the whole circle. I mean, that's, you don't want to even get in that situation, because you want to be open at all times. You want to be open because you want to be open to what's coming in to you. And so a good story. Here's a good story. And I might have mentioned this before about how I was in a business and we had partners, and the person who ended up dropping off was the salesperson. And so my partner looks at me and goes, well, okay, now you need to step into the sales role. Nope. And, and I didn't even think about that would actually happen. I was not prepared for stepping into the sales role of it. I mean, I was, oof. And so, okay, I went out and I ended up just being me. That's all I know, and ended up just, I ended up doing really, really well. And what came across was is that I genuinely wanted to do a good job. And, you know, that comes across. People can feel when you really want to do a good job. And it ended up okay. And it was really neat. I ended up meeting some people and getting to know them. And I thought, this is not so bad. Now, I don't do that every day, but for that time, it helped me grow so much because I said yes to something that I really didn't know how to do. And I was willing to go out and do it. I was open to experiencing life at a different place. And anytime you do that, you open up, and every past experience that you have, that's perfect. I mean, honestly, hey, lost money, this happened, yes, but at least I try and get 150% out of every experience in my life. 150. I want to get every drop of growth or learning out of my failures, because that's the only way that I can say, hey, that was actually a success. At the moment it happened, it might have been a failure, but I turned it around and it was a success. So that's how you can take everything that you have, and before you start your business, say, what have I done what have I learned in my life, that experiences that I can bring to the table, and now I can actually use them to be a benefit in my business as of right now. Because I got to tell you, that is a benefit that I use in my business every day, is that, hey, I'm open to other things. So I'll go ahead and use that in this business now. So
You were authentic.
You
were when you went out and sold, even though you were terrified, you were authentic, and you believed in what you were doing.
Yes, that's all I had. I just had me, and it was okay. And that's what you need to know. You're okay. You just need to know that. Excellent topic.
Yeah. This was fun.
Yes, right on. So for today, remember, just do you and do real. Thank you.
Thanks so much.